fam, what's up guys? What a day that it has been. We're going to get this stream started soon. Hopefully you guys are pretty amped up about everything that's been going on. And I can't wait to go on live because I'm sure a lot of you out there are pretty much upset with everything that's been going on. What's up, fam bam? I'm Chris Mizo. If you're unfamiliar with who I am, I talk about PC builds and we talk about PC hardware. Now, a lot of you out there are probably running into the issues of trying to purchase RAM, and especially if you're trying to do a PC build, we all know that it just seems like it's just not dropping. And the real question is it going to drop anytime soon? Now, I did run into a bit of trouble earlier. Now, for everybody out here, my usual fan man that's here on the lives, unfortunately, I ran into an issue with my vehicle. In fact, the tire on my car, it actually imploded. So I didn't end up getting a blowout or anything like that. So at least that was good on the bright side. But I was able to take it over to a shop and have all the tires changed out. So now I got 4 fresh new tires on there. Now less to worry about, and we can go back to regular streaming. And the problem is, when I took a look at the pricing of these tires, I saw that, what's up LSG? Welcome, good to see you. I looked at the pricing and the tire was about $1,000 and about $1,200 for the tire, which isn't bad. All 4 tires, you have the labor, plus they got road hazard warranty. And then I was thinking, wait a minute. I was really looking at the price, and it was a good point that somebody actually brought up. Vlad's uncle, I believe, was the one that brought it up in the comments. I was looking at the price of the tire. Again, $1,200, not really bad for the tire. But what price is familiar at that price point? You're talking about DDR5 RAM. It would only get you 64 gigabytes of RAM. Now, really let that sit in your head. Just to really inform you about just how bad the pricing is when it comes to a DDR5. And the problem is it's only going to get worse. Reason being is because you have companies such as HK Hynix, you have Samsung, and you also have Micron, all 3 of the companies that produce DRAM. Now, we have one that is out of the race, unfortunately, for the consumer side, and that's Crucial. Crucial makes RAM for the PC building market. Now, not everybody's going to go ahead and purchase Crucial RAM. Not a lot of people out there probably have Crucial RAM, but it is available out there. They still have some. In fact, to let everybody out there know, I was actually able to get some DDR5 RAM shipped from Crucial, believe it or not. I was quite shocked. Maybe they're just trying to get rid of supply, but I did have to pay a bit of a premium for it. It was 6400 megahertz at CL32, and I had to pay $320. It's pretty crazy to say that that's not that bad, considering that $320 should get you way more than just CL32 RAM. Just earlier this year, when they released CL26, you could literally buy almost 64 gigabytes at that price of CL26 RAM just a bit earlier this year. Michael Fierce, what's up? So man, I waited too long. I was going to get a DDR5 AMD system together. Then I saw that the same RAM kit was now $420. And now it's $1,200. Now this couldn't be truer for a lot of guys out there, especially who has been patiently waiting to build a PC. Now, if anybody out there is wanting to build a PC, you want to do it pretty badly, you certainly can buy some of the PC hardware today. And I really mean today, because everything that you see right now, the volatility is only going to get worse. Especially when you're talking about NAND, which is something that you need for your NVMe. And then when it comes to VRAM, when it comes to your GPUs, which I will definitely have a video about that later. And the reason being is because a lot of these foundries are focused on creating HBMs, and that's what really is the key. It's not that they really care for DRAM. Of course, they can use the DRAM, but the DRAM's not going to be really used for AI. That's more on the server base. But for the HBM side, that's where AI kind of comes in and takes over. crazy part is companies such as OpenAI, and you also have Google, and you have quite a few other AI companies out there. They don't honestly expect to turn a profit, not at least until like 2030, 2031. So what does that mean for us? For us consumers who need to purchase RAM, it's just going to take a bit more time, especially for anyone that's trying to sit back and say, this phase will pass. I've seen it before. I've seen it happen with GPUs. I've seen it happen with hard drives. I've seen it happen with different PC hardware in its life. And typically it's temporary. But for something like this, it's hard to say it's temporary, especially you see that Samsung has passed it amongst themselves, especially when they need it on their cell phones. Their brand new trifold where they want to display it for the world. And unfortunately there might be even a shortage of cell phones because of it. Everything's going to have to end up being more retrofit at this point. So Michael says, Chris, my first build is a B850 Tough Gaming, 5070 Tough Gaming, Vengeance 32GB, 6000 CL36, Samsung 992 terabytes. Any thoughts? It said you have a well put together build. It's definitely excellent. Now, the only thing I would suggest is bump up to 5070 Ti instead, because 12 gigabytes is now kind of like the minimum. Not really even the minimum, but I would say 16 gigabytes is more the minimum. And we were expecting a lot more from NVIDIA to release. Hopefully everybody got to tune in and listen to the Joe Rogan and Jensen Huang. They got to talk to each other on the show. It was actually quite excellent. It gave you a bit of insight of how NVIDIA really formed. And they have certainly went through a lot of trial and error for this to happen. It's pretty wild that Jensen Huang actually survived basically off of Yu Suzuki, which is Sega's CEO, really. And luckily with his support, it ended up being such a success just because he liked Jensen Huang. But yeah, you guys got to check out that Jensen Huang interview with Joe Rogan. It's an excellent one. Definitely suggest it to everybody out there who can have access to that podcast. But so Amro says, when I finally started buying PC parts, the RAM and SSD prices skyrocketed. And SSD prices skyrocketed, so I'm going to the used market. You know what's wild? When you check out the used market, it's honestly not as bad, nearly as bad as I thought. I thought it was going to be a lot worse, but you can actually still get some pretty decent deals. In fact, I was talking to some of the guys and they were like, you know what? Maybe it's just better to get a pre-built PC on the market. Somebody that wants to put it up for sale used. And more than likely, you can probably get the RAM for a lot cheaper that way. And more than likely, that's the case for anybody out there, especially if you're desperate to look for RAM. Take a look. You might have some luck when you look at the marketplace. You might have luck going on OfferUp or whichever type of app that you prefer to purchase any type of used hardware. So the appeal of Intel is you can go DDR4 or DDR5. Yes, that is true, Steven. They certainly do have that aspect. In fact, MSI is even thinking of doing something similar. They're coming. I was going to get 2 of these and not now. That's unfortunate. Fierce Protocol. Hopefully soon that you will be able to get your hands on what you're looking for. Now, you're exactly right, Steven. So anybody out there that has a 12th gen Intel, which is Alder Lake, or maybe you have Raptor Lake or even the refreshes, you can certainly get away with using a DDR4. You just have to make sure that you have the correct board that is compatible for that. Now, it's a bit more attractive in the case that you can certainly get RAM for a lot cheaper, for the price at least. But DDR4 is still technically expensive. For anyone that is still on a DDR4 platform can certainly tell you that it is still a bit rough paying these prices. In fact, even when I was looking for 3600 megahertz of CL16, it's still a bit pricey. Nearly $200 if you were to go ahead and make the purchase for it. So I gotta say, when it comes to DDR5, it's certainly an advancement when it comes over to DDR4, but is that advancement worth it for your build? Now, what is more interesting is that MSI also has a platform that's coming out. In fact, I'll show it to you guys here on live. Let me show it to you guys, because this is going to be a bit interesting here. They're coming out with a new board where it's actually not only going to be compatible with DDR5, but it's also compatible for DDR4. So for anyone out there that is looking to get some RAM temporarily, especially if you don't want to spend the extra pricing, let's see. Let me pull it up right here. In fact, I can find it. I think I saw it right on Twitter here, and I will share it with you guys as soon as I see it. So Amira says, I recently bought Ryzen 5 5500 in the GTX 1660 Super, and I found a cheap kit, like 16 gigabytes kit for like $32. Oh, that's awesome. So that's actually a pretty decent deal. Look for DDR4 if you guys can get it, especially if your system's compatible. Why not? If you want to hold off and wait till if you want to wait for AM6, that's perfectly understandable, especially for anybody out there that doesn't want to pay such a high premium. I'm still in awe that I ordered out of B&H Photo and ordered some Crucial RAM. Again, $320. It wasn't a bad deal considering that it was 6400 megahertz for CL32, but we should not be nearly paying that price, because just earlier this year of November 2024, I was able to purchase 6000 megahertz of CL30 from Corsair, full Corsair Vengeance, and it was only $210, and that was including taxes. So that just tells you how out of control really the pricing is when it comes to RAM. So I'm going to throw out a poll out there for anybody, especially for those who are looking for RAM. So this goes specifically to everybody out there that is looking for RAM. Now the question is, has the pricing of RAM apologize for that, guys. There we go. Yes, thank you, Biggie. So the question is, I apologize. You know what it was when I was typing, because I changed the hotkey for the mic, and I wanted to not trip over that key anymore. So I guess now I'm tripping over the other key. But anyway, the question is, how is the pricing of RAM? Has the pricing of RAM stopped you from purchasing RAM? If it has, put 1. Thank you for subscribing. It hasn't stopped you from purchasing RAM, put 1. If it hasn't, put 2. Just out of curiosity. So far, it has stopped some people from purchasing RAM. Now, a lot of these factories, again, Samsung has focused solely on HBMs. Now, other companies such as HK Hynix, they have been solely focused also as well on producing more HBM. Same thing with Micron. They're like, why even sell RAM anymore? Why have all our RAM sit on the shelves? Now, how many of you out there actually have Crucial RAM? Just out of curiosity. More than likely, it's probably not going to be much. So I remember paying $80 for 8 gigabytes of DDR4 about 7 to 8 years ago. And I've seen a lot of prices go up and down in 65 years. Absolutely. It gets pretty particular. I'm sure Steve could certainly tell you of all the PC hardware that had certainly shot up and down. In fact, it's pretty funny. MSI happened to their motherboard. Unico Hardware actually brought this up, which was pretty funny. They had a pricing error for one of their motherboards, which I gotta show you. Instead, they actually had posted it for about $200, or no, $190. A lot of these manufacturers, a lot of the brands are trying to sell these motherboards because they're having trouble trying to sell it, especially because RAM is really unaffordable. Their sales has dropped down as much as 40 to 50%. And especially on a hot holiday season between something like November and December, where they expect more people to purchase motherboards for new PC builds for the new year, where most people do end up waiting for that long to do that build. Unfortunately, it really has held them off. So before all of this happened, I was planning to buy the brand new Crucial RAM 32 gigabyte kit. But after I saw what the AI because I changed my mind. The prices are insane. I agree, it is quite insane when it comes to the pricing, and it's pretty sad. They actually, I gotta show you guys this too, which is pretty funny. Waffle Skater says, for me, in terms of wanting to build a PC, now I'm looking at some of the power specs builds Micro Center has, since their pre-builds might be better this time. 3. That's not a bad choice. Honestly, it's not a bad discussion. If you are looking to purchase RAM, you might actually buy a pre-built PC for much cheaper than the actual RAM kits. Now, for everybody who is curious about what type of RAM is contained in a lot of pre-builds, such as Cyber, Power PCs, or ABS, or quite of the few names that you might have heard, HP, Dell, the typical ones, Alienware, more than likely a lot of them use Micron, because Micron would actually sell a lot of bulk to them. So here's what I wanted to show to you guys. I will show you guys right there on the browser side. You can see that MSI was trying to sell their board originally for $200. Unico brought it up, and then next thing you know, it went up to $230. I was trying to tell everyone, take advantage of that deal. So if anybody needs a motherboard, it's actually a really decent time, because you can actually get motherboards for really cheap now. A lot of them you could get for about like around under $200, a little bit, maybe a little bit more, depending on the type of motherboard that you're looking for, because they're having that much trouble. So Meetel OS says he has a very specific question. Will changing my default contact frame with the TGC SF improve temps even during not necessarily. The contact frame is not really just to improve temperatures. It's more or so to kind of protect the thermal spread from really going into the crevices of your AM5 processor. Now, it's gotten a little bit more attention, especially like for those, even on Intel, they make contact plates now, but it doesn't really do anything drastically when it comes to temperature. That's more, again, originated from AM5 because of the grooves that they had originally with their processors. So, thoughts on the Cherry X, the XTRFY MX 3.1 white keyboard just got it. That's actually a decent one. You'll like it. For anyone who is new to keyboards, especially when it comes to gaming keyboards, the Cherry MX is definitely a great option for anybody out there. For everybody out there, you can feel free to vote on the poll. I'll close the poll in about 5 more minutes. But anyway, Cherry MX keys or Cherry switches, Cherry switches are great for anybody that is just starting on a mechanical keyboard. I highly recommend even OPX switches as well. They're great to have for a keyboard. They're super responsive. And of course, for anyone that is also looking for a bit more of a budget, I also recommend that Red Dragon too, because Red Dragon you can actually get for a pretty decent deal. Now, so thoughts. So we've answered that. My PC starts specifically when I have the side panels on. Acrylic happened after I installed some fans. I can turn it on, then the side panel will work fine. But if I turn it off. Okay, so it sounds like there's an airflow issue from what you're describing, David. So when you have your side panels on after you installed some fan, definitely an airflow issue there. So you want to make sure it doesn't start specifically when okay. You can finish what you're saying, David, I would assume, or Davi. Just, finish your statement and I'll try to help you out here. But also, again, everybody can feel free to join the Discord. It's also free for anybody to join if you have any PC issues. We can certainly have this figured out. So contact frame purpose is to ensure even pressure when using it, pretty much. It's booting only as a keyboard. I get it. I know there's some keyboard snobs out there too. I get it because, again, for anyone that's just starting, especially you spend so much on RAM, you're spending either $300 or $400. It's no longer how it used to be. Before you could get some 6,000 megahertz for $130, and that's an extra $200 you could spend on a really nice keyboard. But unfortunately, not everybody's going to have that luxury. And for anyone that can have the luxury, Wooting is excellent when it comes to their keyboards. Corsair is also excellent. Not a fan of the pricing, again, from Corsair when it comes to the RAM side. G-Skill's been attempting to hold it together the best they can. And of course, you've been hearing from some other memory companies as well, just coming out of the blue, just picking their poison. So it looks like from the poll that it really has stopped a lot of people from purchasing RAM. So it certainly has been holding back on the PC building market. That's definitely going to be a very negative side for them, but it's almost like they don't care as much, unfortunately, because at least they know when they sell these HBMs, they're already sold technically, because they bought up like even up to 40% of the production. Now, they'll use some DRAM, but the DRAM that they're going to be using it for is not really for the AI. It's more for the server purposes. So, it's make sure you have a total flat surface for the best cooling. So, do you really need a 64 gigabytes RAM when you already got 32 gigabytes? Now, that's a great question, CS Guac. He throws out a very valid question. Now, if you need 64 gigabytes, originally we were throwing that number out because that seemed like it was going to be more of the new standard than 32 gigabytes. This is more of a future-proofing method. But at this rate, especially for how expensive RAM is, it's hard to justify saying that 64 gigabytes is worth purchasing. 64 gigabytes is more for those who are looking to multitask more on their PC, especially on, say, Intel builds. A lot of AMD builds, especially because you have the L3 cache from the X3D processors, you don't really need as much. You can get away with 32 gigabytes. Now, when it comes with Intel, it's a bit smaller. And for those who are looking for more tasks, such as, say, you work on Adobe products, or if you use something like Blender, you're going to need a bit more RAM because of it. But if you solely just game, then it wouldn't be necessary to go above 32 gigabytes. For those who need to use it for more of editing purposes and multitasking purposes, such as a Blender, encoding, things like that, then you can take advantage of the RAM. That would make more sense to get up to 64 gigabytes. But for most, you can get away with 32 gigabytes. So, so almost read my own thing. Thank you for subscribing, Waffle Skater. Awesome. I really do appreciate it. So yeah, after getting 80 HE, it's not possible for me accepting anything lower. Also waiting to release of the big knob, which you will be able to. That's a bit exciting, I gotta say. We definitely got to bring that in. I got a free kit buying a X870E. Oh, really? That's pretty awesome, actually. It's a shame. They really need to bring back a lot of those kits to where they actually have the RAM with it. Now, the only closest thing that they have at Micro Center, which we're going to take a look at, is take a look at this. This is honestly not a bad deal. Very expensive. And most people are not going to be looking at Micro Center for this type of build. But while that loads up, I'm going to show this to you guys because this is actually quite tempting. Now, it's not really tempting, especially for some of you guys out there when you see this kit. RAM list, exactly. So how often does anybody really update their RAM? And that's really the key. Like, you only have to get RAM if you absolutely necessarily need RAM. If you are just building a PC and you don't have any RAM at all, then yes, I can understand why you need to purchase RAM. But for those who are just wanting to upgrade just because the pricing is going up, then it wouldn't be necessary. It's more for those who needs to not really upgrade, but more or so to do a build, because you can't have a PC build without RAM, unfortunately. What's up, Frozen? Good to see you. So CS Squawk, again, makes a great and valid point. You do not need to purchase RAM if you own RAM already. Please do not go to 32 gigabytes over to 64 gigabytes if you just game, because I'm telling you, that's a waste of money. So So Asa Noah Kubi says, my PC only turns on when the side panel is open. As soon as I close the acrylic side panel of my case, the system gives no power at all. No fans, no LEDs, nothing. I already checked, no cables are touching the panel. So you're checking the ground, really. You're making sure it doesn't ground out. The system only works some hours after the panel gets removed, as if nothing happened. The issue started after installing the new case fans. So you have to make sure to see the direction of airflow when it comes to the fans. You don't want to make sure that it's bringing a negative case pressure. What negative case pressure does is instead of bringing in air into your PC and exhaust the air, it'll actually trap the air inside of the PC and has nowhere to go. So in order for you to make sure that is proper, there's two things you can do. You can check out your fan, take a look at it. Let me know the model fan that you're using too, because a lot of the new fans, they'll actually have arrows on them. Not even new fans, older fans have them too, to show you the airflow direction. Because they have, the newer fans have, you have reverse fans to where they actually instead do the opposite of what a traditional case fans do. You have to make sure that it is in the correct direction. So no longer, some fans, it doesn't really apply the same method when checking the case flow. So it's important to make sure that you have air coming in and going out. For example, you want to have at least 3 fans coming in for intake and 2 fans going out. So that's just a example. You can go say 4 fans coming in, 3 fans going out. It's better to have more in than out because you want to make sure you're bringing in fresh, cool air. So hopefully that helps out your question. Your PC certainly sounds like it's suffocating more than grounding out. So thank you for following. Yes, thank you, Asono Kubi. So Alice Veverick says 96 is like max. You can run it with 4 sticks, being decently stable. So if you need to start at 48 and then later if you need to do 96, you can do it with ease and be most likely decent. Very true. So Waffle Skater says, you got an opinion for the PowerSpec G759 from Micro Center. I don't want to just throw in a link in people's chat. You know what? I'll take a look at it. How about we'll take a look at that and we can see how it looks like. To be honest, bro, I have 4 kits of you know, a lot of people envy you. Don't let people know where you live because that could actually buy you a gold chain right now, like a real gold chain. So the team group tuned to 8,000 megahertz because G-Skill can't do it, or Corsair Dominator, and I got these kits 2 years ago. Okay, Waffle Skater, let me get to you. I'm going to look up your G759, and I will answer the other questions soon as we take a look at this. So we're going to take a look at the power. If you're wondering what Waffle Skater is talking about, or maybe you've been eyeing the same idea, you just are checking out the chat just to see what we're talking about. He's talking about a pre-built PC. So we're going to take a look at this. Oh, I accidentally clicked Windows 11. Don't you hate when that happens? So we're going to take a look at this PC together here, guys. And it looks just like, oop. There we go. Beautiful. So it looks something like this. 9800X3D. Decent, right? So that's pretty decent. It also has the ROG X870 Pro A. You know, I'm a little bit sketchy about when it comes to ROG motherboards. They could be hit or miss. Recently, I'm sure you heard the cases about burned 9800X3D specifically on ROG motherboards. So if you do choose to get it for, say, personal purposes, you want to make sure to actually get a warranty on it just in case. Now, the RAM's decent, 64 gigabytes, but it doesn't quite tell you the latency, which we will definitely take a look at in a bit. We can figure that out. That also has an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 5080. Excellent choice. Samsung 2 terabyte. That's honestly not that bad. I'm assuming the Samsung 2 terabyte is more than likely going to be a 990 Pro than a 9100. 9100 will be NVMe and PCI Express 5. But honestly, you don't need it, especially for gaming. 2.5 gigabit connection for LAN. So if you want to hook up a Ethernet port, you easily can. You'll get the full speed. Most people aren't going up to two aren't going up to 2.5 gigabits anyway, but that will cover you and pretty much future-proof you when your internet provider can eventually bring it in and it has Windows 11 Home. Now, let's see if we can figure out exactly what type of RAM that they're using. So they say, let's see, 4K gaming, okay. Now let's see if we can zoom in. I'm going to zoom in a little bit here, but you can't really tell by looking at it, but it seems like it's going to be, let me see. Let me scroll down here, guys. Right there. So it seems that it's going to be Team Force. So it's decent RAM there. PNY GPU. And it looks like a, and I'm familiar with this AIO too. I think it's Thermalright that has this AIO. It's a decent one, so it's not bad. Thermalright AIO, PNY GPU. They definitely are charging a bit more than what it's worth. Now, the 64 gigabytes makes you want to go ahead and do a purchase for it, but honestly, it's not that bad. You probably end up making out better. It's not a bad PC, but I can say there's definitely better choices. This is like a bit of everything that nobody... There's an Airflow example right there, guys. That's a perfect one. But, so I can say it seems like it's all the components that they don't want and put it into all one PC. ASRock motherboard, PNY GPU. So I'd say this one's a bit sketchy. Pricing's not bad. Great processor, obviously. And the RAM more than likely is going to be decent. But I'd say take a look at a bit more options. There's definitely got to be something else out there. So I bought a 64. So I'm going back to Steve right here. I bought 64 gigabytes also in 2023. And DDR4 CL16, $98 after tax, 3200 mega transfers, but overclocked it to 36. Awesome. Were you able to get a decent latency on it as well? I went with ASUS Strix E instead of the ASUS Plus. Yes, that's a good choice. I like the Strix line. The E Gaming is an awesome motherboard, by the way. I love the E Gaming motherboards. So, CS Squawk. Wow, I don't see the anti-sag bracket. That PC, yes. There's definitely more that can be done. Would that gold come from gold chains? Or come from old RAM modules? I feel bad for the bro who traded yes, that is a truer statement. I feel really bad for someone who traded 192 gigabytes of RAM. Can you imagine that? That could honestly get you a 5090 these days. In fact, you could probably get the gold 5090 for that price. That's just how insane. It's insane that he just traded it for a 5070 Ti. He probably thought he was making out, but he honestly was nowhere close to making out. ASRock Pro is even worse because it has the crappiest VRAM. That's the thing. Pre-built PC will increase next year. Yeah, that's a great point because I actually want to bring this up to you guys too. And this is by CyberPower PC. So if you guys are familiar with CyberPower PC, this is their exact statement. So for you guys are curious about the volatility about the market when it comes to RAM, this is exactly what they had stated. So they said recently global RAM prices had surged by 500%. So they're saying it's already 5 times more than the price it's worth. Now the prices are already in effect. As you guys see, it's December 7th. It's already December 10th. So unfortunately, it's already in effect for CyberPower PC. Their SSD prices have risen up to 100%. This has a direct impact, costing the build gaming systems since the 1st of October. Now, CyberPower will do price adjustments accordingly to the 7th of which has passed. We understand that the holidays are around the corner and the situation's not ideal. So it's practically saying, yeah, sorry, we can't give you the PC for free. You still got to pay us for what this PC is at least worth because we're losing money on building now. So please note that CyberPower PC will continue to strive to acquire the highest quality. And honestly, CyberPower PC is definitely not a top pick when it comes to pre-builds. But it's a decent one because, again, when it comes to their type of PC builds that they have together, they're a bit more of custom piece motherboard PCBs. So you can't really have a true ATX. at that point, it's like anytime you think of the motherboard for a lot of pre-built PCs, you automatically think of just build a PC. It's always like that. So ASRock Pro is even, yes, we mentioned that, Tommy, and I feel like 32 gigabytes isn't enough for my gaming PC. I'm running out of RAM every couple months, and I have to clear all the cache. Really? That's insane. And what type of monitor are you gaming on, by the way? So I think he said he didn't know what he had and didn't want to rip somebody off, so he was happy trading. But don't quote me on that. I'm an idiot. No, you might be correct. I hope he was doing it out the goodness of his heart. Maybe he's helping a fellow gamer. Not with 192. Man, you can give a lot of RAM to a lot of gamers though. So Mr. Baby Bell says, I mean, no offense, but once they've run out their shelf for RAM, it will be tough. Absolutely. And that's the bigger problem. It's not the fact that the RAM isn't on the shelf. It's what you see, like in wherever you're located, guys, whatever store that you have, whether it's Best Buy, Micro Center, or any of these PC hardware stores, a local PC hardware store, they're more than likely whatever you see there is the last of it. You're not going to really see any more RAM get shipped out. And if they do, I consider that store a bit more lucky, because that means that they're going to have whatever is left from the factory, whatever was already created. Anything after that is going to be pretty much gone. And that's why the shortage would last so long. It's not the fact that it's not the fact that they can't produce it. Well, in a way it is. They can't produce the RAM, but what it really is the fact they're focused on HBM, so they're not producing DRAM anymore, and that means shortages. We don't have any RAM anymore to sell. So this is their one way of kind of controlling inventory as much as they can, which they obviously done successfully. It's just going to end up becoming a lot worse because of it. So backplate on the motherboards are a must. Yes, I agree. You definitely got to have a backplate, especially if you got something heavy. And please have a support on there. KTC 1440p IPS, I think. So I'm waiting for a Gigabytes 870E Exit 3D. Yes, that's a great motherboard. Personally, I want to wait for the X3D Ors Master. That's going to be dope. They already have the ice version of it, but I want to see the blacked out version of it. So hopefully you guys are excited for that. Oh, and speaking of which, let me go on MSI real quick so I can show you guys what's been going on with them. And because this is the motherboard I want to show you guys who are wanting to build a PC, but feels like it's near impossible, especially today, building a PC. And hopefully you guys, here we go. I'm going to throw a question out there for everybody, and I'm going to throw another poll for you guys. Will everyone tune in for the Game Awards? So that's going to be the question. It's going to be coming up shortly. And hopefully I didn't mute myself that time. I didn't. Perfect. Okay, guys. Here comes the poll, guys. There we go. And, oh, my fault. There we go. So you just put 1 or 2 and feel free to put it in. So if you guys... Thoughts on the Gigabyte wood board? That's a great question. Seems that there is some demand for Project Wood. Some people would love to see a Gigabyte's, it's actually Gigabyte's Arrows X3D wood board that actually has the nice wood aesthetic for anyone that is looking for that. And it could go on the side of maybe Corsair or Fractional Designs wood design here. So they do not, yeah, not for now. They have it on the website. If you go onto Gigabyte's official website, they do have the X3D version of the Ors Master, which I will definitely show you guys. So let me show you, and I also want to show everybody out there about what's been going on with MSI's motherboard. It's definitely interesting, especially that it is AM5 here. Let's see. Let me see if I can find it real quick for you guys. And I just had it. It's also the best part about this motherboard Once I find it, I will definitely share it with you guys. But MSI is coming out with a motherboard where it can also have DDR4 compatibility. So if anyone is looking to kind of save a bit of money on RAM, you prefer not spending a little bit of extra money. Image of Giga. Yes, I will send it. I will share it with you guys. But yeah, so like I said, with the MSI board, they are coming out with the DDR4/DDR5 version. So if you choose to get DDR4 temporarily until you want to hold off to get DDR5, that is certainly an option for everybody out there who is looking to join the AM5 platform. Or you can even go back and join between the 12th and 14th gen of Intel. So see, you got one taker of Project Wood here. So here we go. Stealth. This is what it looks like, guys. I'm going to share it with you guys. Arrow. I almost typed in Project Wood because it got me thinking there. There we go. Beautiful. So this is what it looks like, guys. Oh, there we go. That's what it looks like. So you got the nice little wood aesthetic for anyone that is looking for that. And so it has, take a look at the texture. It just shows, you know, elegance. Now this is the new thing everybody is trying to get into here. So you can save like $20 to $25. Oh, John is chilling. He's sleeping on his bed. You guys can't see him, can you? He's actually right behind me. He's chilling. So how many gigabytes of DDR4 would be comparable to 32? So actually 32 gigabytes is still going to be comparable. You just have to make sure to get the speeds. For example, I can go up to, you want to get like 3600 megahertz. I would assume you could going to have to be able to get more, especially out of an AM5 board. So, I mean, you could easily get the speeds of like over 4,000, at least 4,000 megahertz, and have some decent low latency. You actually would perform very well. I would love to test it out, like once MSI does produce it, because it would be pretty fun to put some DDR4 RAM with some say, if a 9850X3D comes out, that'd be pretty amazing. But it has the wood aesthetics here. That would actually be nice, like in a fractal design case for anyone that wants to get involved with some Project Wood. So how many gigabytes of RAM do I have? So for this, for my gaming build, I have 48 gigabytes of RAM. For my Threadripper build, I have 64 gigabytes of RAM. So DDR4, yes, pretty much for the most part. I think with most motherboards having 4 memory sockets, but most people only using 2 or the 4, it makes it great sense for them to install 2 slots for DD. Yeah, absolutely. It just makes, and DDR4 3600 tune can really, yeah, and the best part is it's actually super tunable compared to DDR5. Now DDR5 you can tune it, but the only problems is, as you know, Micron's DDR5 is going to be a bit more limited compared to something like if you have like a Samsung die, not Samsung, you have a SK Hynix die. If you have, now when it comes to DDR4, you'll be a bit more familiar with it because Samsung actually has their B dies. And B dies are the ones that are what enthusiasts look for when it comes to DDR4. So is it worth overclocking? No. That's that question here is absolutely not necessary unless you just want to beat the hell out of your PC. If you're looking to break records and everything, I get it, but no, it's honestly not worth doing that because you're just going to wear out your RAM way faster than you need to. So I'm running a Trident's Royal 64 gigabyte DDR4 on D4 13900K build, and it runs awesome, doesn't it? So the CPU matters in tuning. Your RAM, you want a good memory controller in it. Absolutely, that is true. So because as if you guys don't know, Epic Keeve runs a 7600 X3D. It actually has a really decent processor. He's able to get like a negative 49 on curve optimizer, which is pretty incredible. So hey, if I pay $2,500, I want $2,500 worth of performance using every ounce. I get that, especially for anyone that is looking to do a PC build. So I see a lot of people out there. So everybody, I see a bit of a mixed bag there. I see between yes or no. And for anybody that's not intending, was there any games that you didn't want to see in specifically, or are you just not interested in the words? Personally, for me, what I'm hoping for is a Half-Life 3 drop. I said this probably, I hope the same thing, exact thing last year, that there was a rumor that Half-Life 3 would drop, but obviously it didn't. And again, I'm having this weird hope that Half-Life 3 would drop this year. So please turn off your stream bot. Oh, 7800 XTD. My bad. Yes. Why is it repeating too much? You should play Farming Simulator 25. That's what I should play. You know, we still got to do a whole PC building simulator and do a game of that. That would be fun. That's something that we certainly have to do. Now let's go back real quick onto, let me see if I can find that motherboard for you guys, because it is interesting. AM5. Let's see. Where is it? I should have saved it. Here we go. This is it, guys. Finally found it. Oh, ASRock is doing it. My fault. It's not even MSI. ASRock is trying to make up for their name. That's why. I was like, why can't I find it? It's actually ASRock that's coming out with this motherboard. Here it is. It says you can go up to 4,800 megahertz when they're bored. Now, let's take a look here. This is how it looks like, guys. I'm going to go on ASRock's page to show you guys, because that way we can take a deeper dive in it. Oh, it's so annoying too, because now when you use Google, when you go search stuff, it automatically goes into this AI mode at times where I just want to get to the website. All right, so right here, we just got to go to the news side. There we go. And it is, where's it at? Oh, so you guys out there, anybody that has any AMD Radeon cards, the Fastone has also been released, but I heard that it has been great. Unfortunately, I'm unable to test it. I didn't realize how bad Gigabyte monitors are compared to the competition. So if you were going to, it would be Corsair. That's where. So Gigabyte has even cashback promotion for the X3D boards, 9070 XT and Ryzen CPUs. So I would say Micro Center's too innocent. You have to go for Corsair. You got to go for somebody that's overpricing. That's, you know, kind of like almost like that Robin Hood mentality. All right, so here it is, guys. Let me. $4 and DDR5. Yes, it's been a bit finicky too, from what I heard. It's not running 100%. Has anyone tried it? Just out of curiosity, has anyone tried the AMD's Redstone? Because it's like, I heard that they're slowly releasing more. Here we go. So I'll show you this one instead. So here it is. So this is what it looks like here. And up to DDR5, 4800 megahertz. Now let's zoom in there. Now you got combo kits to where it gives you a bit of flexibility. So it's pretty nice that they are coming out with something like this. This would certainly give, definitely tempt a lot of people who are trying to build a PC to attempt to build a PC, especially if you have the option of either using DDR5 or DDR4. So you have the compatibility there. So I just took my 9070 XT out last night and put my 4090 back in. I have videos up, so you know I am legit. Awesome. So And here it is right here. So LGA 1700 H610 motherboard that supports both DDR4 and DDR5. Obviously not at the same time. Hopefully nobody does try to attempt running it at the same time, because you just would be in for a bad time. Because the reason why you don't want to run them at the same time is the tuning is going to be way off. It's not going to, you're running different timings, and if you're running different timings, you're just gonna, it's either not going to pass the whole post, and it's not going to fail, it's going to fail the whole train memory side. So you have to make sure to have equal memory running across. Now, it doesn't matter if they're different brands, it's just the timings certainly matter. So I had an idea that they should give a DDR4 for DIMM slot and DDR5 for 2 DIMM slot. I see that logic. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is something we're going to see more. And for anybody that is certainly excited for CES 2026 coming up, I heard that there's going to be quite a bit of launches that'll be coming out with new refresh boards. It's going to be unfortunate for anybody out there that is trying to do a PC build. More than likely, we're going to see companies such as Samsung. In fact, Samsung's actually doing their own show. I'll be arriving a little bit later than for what they're going to be showing. Theirs is a bit earlier. It's going to be on the 4th, I believe, on Sunday the 4th. More than likely, they're going to show their transformation when it comes to AI. So more than likely, that's just going to be a lot of just really showing off their HBMs, what they expect out of all these companies. But of course, we're all looking for AMD's press conference, which is going to be at 6:30 again on January 5th. So make sure to tune in for that. I'm hoping that they're going to announce a competitor, which seems more and more slim now, especially that we're going on with less and less VRAM, and that's going to be an issue. So where's is that show? So it's going to be in Las Vegas, and unfortunately, do you know why AMD is getting sued? No, I didn't hear anything about AMD getting sued. I definitely had to look on that. So yes, this is going to be at CES at Las Vegas. So if anybody wants to tune in for that and wants to see the latest, I'll be streaming a whole lot during then, and I will also be making sure to post up videos. So it seems like most people are at least attending the Game Awards. Again, I'm hoping for mostly a Half-Life release, Half-Life 3, that would be awesome. Oh yeah, I'm there right after New Year's. Oh, awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, it's going to be quite the show. Hopefully AMD does have something to show off. I am certainly hoping that RDNA 5 will have some sort of showing. More than likely, we're going to see something like AMD's 9000 series processors, where they're going to have the graphics built into it for anyone looking for like a 9000G to try to save a bit of money when it comes to doing a PC build. It's a good way to start, but it does end up you will end up using less lanes if you do end up going with something like a 9000G, just for a heads up for anyone who is thinking of that option. But they will also hopefully announce the whole 9850 X3D. More than likely, that's still going to be in line. Same thing with the 9950 X3D too. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Certainly expecting definitely more options, at least when it comes to the processor side, especially when it comes to Granite Ridge. So you don't require really a refresh board to have these newer processors, again, with the 9850 X3D or neither the 9950 X3D 2, because technically you'll still be considered the 9000 lineup. So my original idea was to get a Ryzen 7 7800 X3D with 32 gigabytes of DDR5 and a 5070 Ti. Since I'm going to downgrade to an AM4 build, would it be worth the money I'm saving on downgrading to go with a 5080? Now, if you are choosing to downgrade, it is a bit unfortunate to go that direction if you have to. I wouldn't suggest just downgrading quite yet. Your main reason for downgrading is probably going to be on the RAM side. I would say it's probably a bit more ideal for you to go with something more with a, say, ASRock board. If you go with like the ASRock board that we just brought up, more than likely, I feel that other brands are also going to follow suit because they have to be able to sell motherboards. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw MSI make an announcement for it, or if you saw Gigabyte or ASUS come out with an announcement where it will have dual compatibility. I would probably wait on that before dedicating into something like AM4. AM3, because once you go back, you're going to be pretty much on dated hardware. And then you're going to end up spending a bit more than expected because you're going to spend more on legacy hardware. But you know what the funny thing is, which just reminded me, guys, is the fact that the problem is that Samsung has already announced, and again, the other, I'm sure SK Hynix is thinking the same exact thing when it comes to DDR4 RAM. They announced it earlier, and if you guys have tuned into that's why I'm suggesting you don't want to do that. You don't want to downgrade quite yet. You want to go with AM5, at least go for a board where it's dual compatible, and you'll have that advantage. But as I was saying, like when it comes to Samsung and SK Hynix, they both had announced that they're not planning to continue on making DDR4, and they said that within this year because they figure that's pretty much a dying legacy type of memory. No one's really going to purchase it as much. Sure, there's people out there that still use it, but again, it's going to slowly fade just like anything else, such as the Steam hardware survey. If anybody could really take a guess at it, of how much, what RAM is really being used. Not RAM, but what type of video cards are being used. Originally, it was the 4060s that was the top rated GPU that everyone was using. Now it's the 5060. So again, people are upgrading a lot more quicker than anticipated because of it. It's not like how it was like when it came to older hardware where most people would stick with it. It's almost that people like to keep upgrading to a point. So that's why I would highly suggest staying on a more relevant board, especially now. You don't want to pay more for legacy hardware because it always ends up costing you more in the end. So even though you get a decent GPU, you're going to want to eventually change everything else. And that's going to be a bit of a pain for you, especially if you got to change out the processor and the motherboard. If you choose to change out the RAM again, and it's just like doing another build again. So I feel like new games should look like 3D Mark. Otherwise, I find a letdown for those who spend thousands for high-end hardware. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's certainly like a standard where everyone should expect actually out of developers more. I really hope that I hope more studios take it a bit more serious, that they don't rely on engines such as Unreal Engine 5. If you go Unreal Engine 5, obviously it takes a lot more resources. And I've seen different complaints about that the GPU isn't being fully utilized. And that's because, again, a lot of developers are relying more on the engine side than the actual the illustration and the actual art of it. At the actual 3D rendering side, doing the actual focusing on the textures and shaders, like doing it all by hand. And they rely on Unreal Engine to the point where they rely a bit more on ray tracing, and then you have things like frame generation, which makes their job a bit easier because then they feel like they don't have to do a certain part of the project and just rely on pretty much AI to take over at that point. And unfortunately, again, it uses a lot of resources of that because they're not really focusing on the task at hand. Instead, the resources don't just go to the GPU. It ends up splitting, say, into the CPU, where you end up getting, say, like 50-60% usage on the CPU, and then you end up getting 60% on your GPU. And that's not what you want because, again, that would be obviously a bottleneck there. You want to see 100% usage in the GPU, or at least 99%. So this coming from enthusiasts, I feel like a downgrade from my 14900 tuned 14900K to a 9950 X3D, the performance basically is the same, but the 4900K is still, yes. See, that's a bit of a mixed bag too when it comes to that. Like when it comes to Intel and it comes to AMD. Now again, that's because of the developer side. And a lot of games, for example, Battlefield 6 is a perfect example of it. It doesn't park the proper cores, or it doesn't park the proper cores. It uses the wrong CCD. For example, it can end up using the non-V cache when running the game, which is an issue. Now, because it's a 9950 X3D, believe it or not, it's not a large scale jump from, say, a 800 X3D. Even though you have a bit more of the L3 cache, it doesn't necessarily mean better performance at everything. It still remains on the same concept as a 9800 X3D, where it just has one CCD for Vcache and the other for non-Vcache. And supposedly the 9950 X3D 2 will improve on that. Instead, they'll be both Vcache. And hopefully we'll see some improvements there. But of course, you're going to suffer if you have two Vcache. You're obviously going to end up suffering on the back end when it comes to multitasking. That would be the only issue with that. What 9070 XT model you like the most? So personally for me, that's a great question. So the 9070 XT models that I like the most is actually the Sapphire. I feel Sapphire makes a great one, the 9070 XT, of doing a build with that. It turned out awesome. It's able to hide your cables, and it just looks like a magnificent GPU. Another great one is actually ASRock actually makes a decent one, which is their 9070 XT. It's actually one of the most silent ones, and it's not that expensive. In fact, Micro Center has a great deal for it. You could actually get it for $600 for a 5070 XT. So what are your thoughts about a 7600 XT 16 gigabyte? Was not necessarily. I mean, it's a good purchase. I'd say for now, it's not a bad purchase. It certainly can perform the task that you're looking for, especially if you're looking for for your specific type of gameplay. So the real question is, what type of games do you play on that card? And what type of resolution do you play in? So Tucker X2I says, I got second-handed DDR5, 32 gigabytes RAM, unused for $300. Was it good? It is a CL36. Now that's unused for that's a bit expensive, to be honest. DDR5 at 32 gigabytes for CL36 is a bit high. Now I can tell you it's not 100% a bad deal, because technically, if you look at CL36 and for 6,000 megahertz, if you take a look at Micro Center, typically new, they're like about like $330, $340. So it's not a bad deal. I'd say it's a fair deal more than anything. So I would say minimum I expect from GTA 6 would have to look like GTA 6 better be amazing. That's all I gotta say. If you got the Steam machine coming out, right? You have to expect that GTA 6 will equally come out on Steam machine as it does for PlayStation 5 and as it does for Xbox Series X. It just makes sense. So honestly, I haven't run into those issues. It's been running correctly in the BIOS. You have the options, but it does its own port. Yeah, you know, the crazy. What's up, Mike? What's up, Mike Bruzone? See you in here. It's funny because I was running the test on Battlefield 6. Apparently, I kept parking the wrong cores, and I had to manually end up parking the cores, and eventually I got it to switch over. And one of the main issues too with Battlefield 6 I've noticed is that its anti-cheat makes it run on all cores as well, if you take a look at the activity. And so it ends up taking a bit of performance because of it. So Tom, one of the circuits, awesome. With good high-speed RAM, you can even run 265K and 285K. You know, it's funny that you brought this up, Alice, because the thing is, I actually held back and I thought, like, man, do I really want to build on the 285K platform or on Intel's Arrow Lake? And I'm slowly kind of going into it because we need the throw-in competitor. And to be fair, we can't always just do AMD. There's going to be people that's going to go Intel. So we may be doing this build soon with the Intel with the Intel Z890 board, which we already have. We have an Aorus Master just sitting here. So we might go that direction for the next build. I know a lot of people might not like it, especially the Ryzen guys out there, but maybe you guys will be into seeing more comparison videos between the two benchmarks for a 285K going up against maybe a 9800 X3D. So Waffle Skater says the 5070 XT, is that the new 50? Yes, yeah, absolutely. AMD and NVIDIA finally has decided to coincide together and make the 5070 XT. Could you imagine that? So Z-Man-Scar says, I have the 9950X 3D paired with the 4090. Performed pretty well. I'd be interested in seeing the benchmarks for, I would absolutely love to do so. We'll definitely pull more information, especially coming January 5th. Again, make sure you guys don't forget to subscribe to the channel for that, because we will be going live. It's funny, I think I'm going to set that timer. not Guybot. Can you liberate this guy from chat? This who Tommy? This guy? Tom? I didn't even see him. My fault. Let me get rid of this. Let me get rid of this guy. Bam, he's out of here. Okay, so he's gone. Thank you for letting me know that. I missed him. Oh my god, more. Do you like it? Not really. I'd say like AI does have its uses. It's funny. Hopefully you guys really do listen in onto the whole Jensen Huang interview when he had it with Joe Rogan. It's very interesting for the most part. And I have to say with AI, he makes some certain valid points when you look back in history when it comes to revolution and when it comes to change, that a lot of us won't embrace it, especially because it's new technology, just like anything else, especially when it comes to something like AI. Also another question that was brought up is that, aren't you afraid that it's going to take a lot of productivity from people? Are you afraid it's going to take away work from everybody out there who it can pretty much take their job, especially for those who are doing more like a basic process or something like analytics or something where AI can certainly take over the task. And as he mentioned, he said that for radiology, that they were able to use AI and they thought they would get rid of all the radiologists because at that point, then AI can just do everything on its own. But instead they brought in more radiologists. So his whole idea and his whole concept is practically saying that we're just going to adapt to it more than anything. And that how it's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy how deep it goes. I don't want to spoil everything for everybody, but I can say that I can see AI expanding, but I don't think it's going to expand to the point where it's going to kind of take away everything. I feel there's a lot of people also feel the direction that AI is more of a bubble than anything. Eventually it's going to pop. And I 100% agree with everybody out there, especially because I mentioned this actually within the last year, because I was actually asked this question before, that do I feel that AI is going to grow? And this was more on a minimal level. So instead, I felt like it wasn't going to do anything. It wasn't going to go anywhere. I thought it would just be like kind of like 3D glasses when it comes to your when it came to 4K TVs. Remember how that was supposed to be a big thing. And obviously AI is going to be much more bigger of a scale. But again, I think it's going to, as humans, we're going to adapt with AI pretty quickly. And it's going to get to a point where we're all going to be fatigued to a point, as I'm sure some of you notice that you're going to see less AI content because of it. And I'm sure you've seen a lot less, especially on social media, because people are getting a bit fatigued on that side. So it has its uses, but it's not going to be used for every type of purpose, I feel. So but great question. So is on the GeForce side today, too much hate for Intel while having 1% lows, and also X3D CPUs mostly help in 1080p. Upgrade path, people saying it's just in 6 CPUs, what most people, unless you want to the best upgrade, often is not worth. So problem is with 13900KS and the 14900K CPUs, even undervolted, the thermal throttles too easy. I agree. That is certainly an issue for anyone that does have Raptor Lake or Raptor Lake Refresh specifically, are very prone to heat. So make sure to upgrade your chipsets and your BIOS if you do have a Raptor Lake or Raptor Lake Refresh type of CPU. Now, most people anyway would upgrade in like 3 to 5 years. So that would be like AM6 or Nova Lake, with maybe even DDR6. So that AMD upgrade path doesn't make it that worth it, as people keep saying. So using Intel failsafe, you don't have to go through. So Darren Reeves says, building a 9800X3D on an X870E motherboard. I'm assuming E gaming, is it? With a 9070 XT, heard that for gaming mostly. DTS like 64 gigabytes of RAM. Would it be best to get 32 gigabytes? So for now, so Darren, I can certainly say for your type, if you're looking to game mostly, no, DCS, it's not. Simulators, I can see it can take a bit more, but I can say, like, when it comes to DRAM, just get 32 gigabytes for now. You can always upgrade later. Just remember that. You just need a minimum of 32 gigabytes to run your games. You can always purchase 32 gigabytes later. Again, you're probably going to end up fine for the next 3 years, and then you'll end up thanking yourself because now you're able to get a 64 gigabyte kit for what you paid for 32 gigabytes. So Ali Beef says, I could cry. My 9070 XT turned up today. Took out my RAM to clean my PC. Killed one stick. Oh, really? Well, what happened, Ali? What exactly happened to your build? If that's the case, that's pretty insane. That doesn't usually happen. So yeah, I was glad that my 13700K wasn't the one to degrade. Made sure to update my BIOS when they released it. That's a smart move. Waffle Skater, certainly a great way to go. You want to make sure to update your BIOS, especially for anyone that is on the, again, for anyone that is still on a Intel Raptor Lake or Raptor Lake Refresh. DRAM Orange Death. That is disgusting, especially now. I can't, that's really hard for me to believe. What exactly happened? How did it happen? Please share with us. Did you try taking out the CMOS battery for 5 minutes, then put it back on? Only 5 on YouTube. Hit the oh yes, make sure to hit the like button, guys. Thank you, Rizzo. So tried in all slots. Oh, just to let you know, the commands work for anybody out there as well. So I'm going to fix it. I wonder why the crazy part is I'm going to slow down this command, guys. I apologize if it feels a bit spammy here. Let me fix it, guys. I will double check it. Let me see what it's doing here, because it seems like it's definitely popping up a bit. So let me see. Give me a second, guys, and it'll definitely pop up a whole lot less. Oh, where is it? Command triggered, enabled. There we go. Timed action. There we go. We'll make it for 2400. There we go. Okay, that should fix it. So, 6. I cleared CMOS, etc. PC only boots. Okay, so you're only getting the orange light. So you're saying your PC's not booting at all. So okay, let's start fresh. Let's see exactly where it's starting from. So tell us everything about how it happened and what you did to try to rectify the issue. So does anyone know if this 7500 X3 7500 X3D, it should be a decent CPU for the most part. 7500, I know it's 7600. I believe if there is a 7500, then it would probably be running on the same frame as the 76, which would be the 6 cores and 12 threads, I would imagine. So you don't need 64 gigabytes of RAM if you are just gaming, even with like, yes, but he's using it for a simulator. That's the trick. It depends on, are you fully simulating it, like having 3 ultra wides and going full out? That really depends too. Do you in your Threadripper use RDIMM's server grade memory? No, I actually don't. Believe it or not, I don't really need it for the server side more. It's more so I need it for the encoding more than anything. 7500 X3D. It's a dog. Tested PC with new GPU, then dismantled PC to clean. Okay. So you tested the PC with a new GPU, then so how did it react with the new GPU? And I'm assuming originally you had the 9070 XT, correct? And then you went to try a different GPU, is it? Simulator might need 96. Yes. But yeah, and it also depends on the type of monitor usage he's using too, if anything. That's what I'm really curious about. So let's try to help out Ollie here and figure out what this issue is. So for the price of performance, 7500 step up. How much is the 7500 X3? Because honestly, you could get the 78. Isn't it? You could get the 7800 X3D for $200 now, right? Let's go on Micro Center. Let's take a look on Micro Center, guys, and then we'll take a look there. I use 2 OLED ultra wides, but they don't take that much. Okay. Let's see. Let's try this. 7800 X3D. So we're going to take a look here. And here goes some perfect examples here. So take a look at this, guys. So a 70, so you can actually get 7800 X3D for $380, and it comes with the motherboard. That's quite the combo. It's pretty crazy because before you would get the RAM with it originally too. And if you click into it, you can see that you can actually get some RAM bundled in. If you get RAM, which is, where did it go? It's funny because now it's hidden. Originally it was back here, you can see it. If you join the Discord, yes, please do. I think, do you have our Discord? Yeah, make sure to join. $346 low for the 7800 X3D, and Micro Center has been overcharging for the 70. Oh, have they? It's crazy because I haven't looked too much for the 75. So at 32 gigabytes of G-Skill RAM kit or 32 gigabytes of Corsair RAM. So let's take a look. So it doesn't really specify, it just says save more. All right, so it's funny. They almost created this like a bundled save list now. That's pretty different. That's definitely different. So you go get the 7800 X3D. That's actually a little bit overcharged. It should be about $200 for this CPU. But for the board, that's actually a decent deal. 153, and you get some RAM, 6000. You get 6000 megahertz with TL36 for $275. So you get everything for a total of 600, and it sounds so expensive compared to what it used to be. So you get the CPU, you get this motherboard. Again, guys, this is what you would get out of D3. And then you can select your GPU. Makes me curious to put a build together almost. $329 is a good price on 70 if you don't want the bundle. Threadrippers are only 3-in-1. Yes, that's what I was looking at, was the Threadripper combos. It was like $4,000, but they give you 128 gigabytes. Seems like 2 DIMMs are dead. That's a yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was like $400 before. It's like you're so used to seeing like lower prices. 650 sounds high now. It's all because of the RAM, really. Let's go back here. I want to look at this Threadripper real quick, guys, because it was a 9970X. No, I put 90 almost X3D. That'd be pretty wild if they did something like that. Only way I can get it to boot is now I'm getting a quarter FPS in BF6. It sounds, man. So let me go back here. Seems like 2 DIMMs are dead and one of the 2 sticks. Oh, wow. Okay, so that's what it does sound like. If it's not passing the memory training, if it's not passing that part, then more than likely it probably is. That sucks. But didn't you just get the RAM? Maybe you could swap it out. Yeah, I know, right? It's pretty bad, Tommy. It's pretty insane. I'm happy that case too. Micro Center is primarily selling 7500 XDs as a pre-build for the 16 gigabyte. Oh, really? Here, oh, it's sold out. What? I can't believe this is sold out. Here it is, $4,000. Anyone wants to get this kit? It's honestly not that bad of a deal. I know why they bought it. Originally, they just had this in stock. It was $4,000 for this kit. And what they offered was you get a TRX 50 board, which is the ASUS Pro Series, which is their Pro Art line. And then you also get their No, this is just a regular Pro, actually. This isn't even Pro Art. This is just a regular Pro board. And then you get the Threadripper. Usually that's $2,500. The motherboard's typically like $1,000, like when you get a TRX 50 board. And then you can't even imagine how much the RAM is. That's 128 gigabytes, right? So 4,000 is actually a really decent deal for it, considering. So it seems that somebody had bought it maybe just for the RAM itself. I wonder if they still got this kit, the 9960X. Oh, they do. They got the 9960X. But the 9960X, it gives you 5600 megahertz. And the cast latency is decent, though. 28. But again, the slower bus speed when it comes to the RAM. And how much is it? How much RAM is it? It goes up to 1 terabyte. Can you imagine doing 1 terabyte of RAM? That would be insane. People paying $4,000 for a 59, I'm not surprised at all. Fury RDIMM memory is even more for that. It's even server memory. That's pretty funny. Why is that showing up? I just noticed that you know what? Maybe I should I just realized something about my streamer bot. I know why. So the reason why, I just figured why my streamer bot is doing it twice. It's because I'm having a horizontal and a vertical feed. So that's why it comes up twice. Don't forget you can save. Yes, $30 can be saved if you go ahead and purchase it for a wonderful price of only $2,999.99. And you get an additional $150 off instantly if you choose to get a Microsoft, you get a Micro Center Insider credit card. Only a payment of $49.99 for 60 months. So I think Max Voltage picked up a Threadripper kit at Micro Center for less a couple months ago. Oh, really? You know what's crazy? I saw somebody actually have a Threadripper build where they had up to 1 terabyte of RAM. So he has a PC build where it's worth just a ton of money. Hold on, that $30 doesn't account the cost for the yes, it doesn't. So let's go ahead. Let's pretend we're just gonna add this to the cart, right? And then we're gonna add this 9100. Let's see what the savings looks like, right? Let's go ahead and throw this in there. We're gonna throw this 9100. Okay, so it's that is some BS. Everybody knows. We just were, remember guys, we were live at Micro Center and we bought some 2 terabyte 9100. This was again prior to the whole increase of pricing when it comes to SSDs. We actually bought it for $200. In fact, you know what? I still got it. It's sitting in the drawer because I was waiting for the build. Where's it at? Here it is. This was bought from Micro Center. Oh, it still has that real expensive price tag, $299, but we ended up actually getting it for $199 that day. That was the day when me and Ricky, we went down to Micro Center to do his PC build. So only thing is, I think it was not holding the power button down long enough while discharging PC and was trying quick. No, you never want to take off the RAM while the PC's alive. 190 for SSD. Bro, yes, it won't cover. That tax will not cover. Let's throw it in. I'm just curious to see what type of pricing that we'll get out of it. So we're gonna go ahead, check out the cart right here, because I do want to do a Threadripper rebuild, but man, oh, where'd it go? Oh, they removed items that are no. Oh, how about that? Micro Center just did us dirty. They didn't even let us buy the Threadripper kit. It's probably because of the RAM. Oh, I hope not. Oh, that would be terrible. But isn't that crazy? They took it out. So cheapest 2 terabyte SSD Gen 5 with NAND I can buy for $260 in my region. Really? So let's go ahead. Let's attempt to do this again. We're gonna look up the 9960X again. It says one is available in my location in Miami, but it didn't pan through. Let's try again. Add to cart. It says one in stock. Okay, let's view the cart now. Nope, it won't let me purchase it. It won't let me. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, maybe. That's probably exactly what happened. That's a good point, Hassan. At least it's good one Kingston Fury Renegade G5 SSD. Yes. Oh, man. I think somebody actually bought it. I don't think they bought it for the Threadripper, to be honest. I think they probably bought it more for the RAM. Because think about it. If you separate the bundle, you can end up selling each component for what it's worth. Like if we look up at the 9970X, right? 9970X is at least $2,500, right? See, $2,500 for this this processor. Now you look up a TRX 50 board, TRX 50 Pro. We'll look it up and see how much that motherboard is worth, which is this one, about $900, $894 to be exact. So that's already right there. That's you're hitting about 35. And then the Kingston memory, again, right here. It keeps teasing me. It's right there. But this is the 9960X, so it's going to be cheaper. Their 9970X bundle already sold out, apparently. 120. Yeah, that's what I said. So, like, if you click it, right? You click it, and then you click the RAM. Say you just want to buy the RAM separate. They usually list everything separate here. See, they have all the components here. You have the processor, you have the Kingston RAM, and the motherboard. So we're going to click the RAM, right? Look, $1,700 for the RAM alone. $1,700 for 128 gigabytes of RAM. And this is 5,600 megahertz. They have it ready by 10 a.m. tomorrow. I bet they won't have no problem me adding this in the cart. Let's find out. Let's go into the cart here. Now is the RAM for? Yes. Oh well, this is server grade. These are server grade RAM. Yeah, because exactly, it checks errors really. That's what it's really for. So, right here. But that's a good point. You know what? Let's try to sneak it in. Let's try to create our own bundle. Be like, hey, on the website it says. Makes me curious. So let's look up the 9970X. We're gonna create our own bundle. And then they can't say no. This doesn't exist. They'll probably give me a lot of they'll definitely give me a lot of BS about it. Oh, all right. Let's go 9960X. That's right. It's sold out. Yeah, that's the crazy part. Yeah, hold on. Only $83 worth. Yes, only $83 a month with a firm. Okay, bro, forget this bundle because we know that they won't let us do the purchase. Okay, so we added that in the cart. And let's go ahead and put the TRX. We know it's the ASUS TRX 50. So let's go ahead and throw that in. Oh. I'll just throw this in then. I should have just went back to the bundle and just clicked it. It was right there. Now it's giving me filament. It's giving me not what I'm looking for. Here we go. There we go. So we'll add that in. All right, let's see if this bundle came together now. Because it let us add everything. So we're going to go into the cart here. Let's see. And that's probably... Oh, look. That worked, actually. That actually worked. So you see how drastically the price dropped on the RAM? It went from what was it? 1,600, right? It went from $1,700 to $699. Adds $681. So it really dropped in price. That's pretty crazy. Welcome, Rizzo. Yeah, if we do have the horizontal chat. I know they make it seem like a bargain, but you know what's funny? Remember how they said $30 off for the 9100? It never dropped. It's still the same price. $818 for the motherboard, and for the 9960X you get for $1,500. Yeah, is that weird? Not gonna lie, it may be a good deal to buy it in a month, and you can have a free friend. That's what I'm saying. That's actually not a. That's actually a decent deal. I wonder if it'll let me go ahead and go into the checkout. Let's see, checkout. Let's see what happens. And then it says price after 161. They only give you 161. So the taxes alone are like $226. So that's crazy. So I wonder if that's so that you can actually build a Threadripper for a pretty good price. That's actually not bad at all. A Threadripper, and you get the RAM practically for free. So why would anyone buy that kit unless they are getting a private AI? Well, yeah, that's the thing. Well, I have a Threadripper build. I just want to upgrade it, to be honest. I'm actually on a 3970X. So that's one of the things I certainly have to upgrade is that. Honestly, ever since I upgraded the GPU, it makes me want to upgrade less and less. But again, I wouldn't mind waiting for the next generation, to be honest, for out of AMD. But AI disaster special. I know, that's what it seems like. It's pretty funny because if that, I feel like if I went to Micro Center to go pick that up, I feel like they would tell me, I feel like I would get an email saying that I wasn't able to pick it up. Because they're going to be like, no, we can't sell them for at this price. We're going to lose money. Is this a good deal for me? 600 euros, ASUS Prime A620M, case K9600X. Be Quiet Pure, a K9600X. I just Be Quiet Pure Rock 3. That's a good one. 32 gigabytes to for that, all that for 600. I'm assuming you mean 9600X. Better bring security. Yes, absolutely. 128 gigabytes seems funny that 64 gigabyte kits are not even ECC, cost more than 128. That's what I'm saying. So if anyone lives close to a Micro Center, that actually might not be a bad deal. So if anyone wants to build on a Threadripper platform or practically get a piece, so it's funny because it's like holding gold. Imagine like how much that kit's going to be like within the next year if this continues. Sorry. Exactly. Next thing you know, you'll see a Micro Center guy come out like out the back, like with a shopping cart full of 128 gigabyte kits of RAM. I can see that happening. Sorry, we can't find it, but I can't imagine what they're going through. Imagine what they gotta, every customer they gotta deal with, they gotta try to explain about why RAM is so expensive. Especially for there's going to be people out there that's going to try to end up like price matching the kit. They'll try to price match it for like a price that they bought like maybe 4 months ago. Sorry, sir. So AMD might be spiffing an offset on that RAM kit. Yeah, you know what? I'm really curious about that RAM kit. It makes me a bit curious just to get it, just to see what would happen, to see if they would actually let me pick it up or not. What do you guys think? That would be a bit insane, but it's still a lot of money technically. It's still $3,600 is no joke. But I guess it's pretty crazy how that works though. Mentally, when you really think about it, it feels like a lot of money. But honestly, if you end up flipping that whole kit, you could end up really doing getting a Threadripper for free, just as mentioned earlier. Yeah, oh, I would love to. I certainly would love to. I would love to see what would happen. I want to see there if that does happen. Say if this does happen, if we go through with it, I would definitely let you guys know in Discord, and I'll keep you guys up to date on YouTube and Twitch to let you know what's going on, and I'll bring you guys live to see and see what they say. Wonder if we get in a 2026 AMD high end. That's what I'm curious. That is true, Darren. That is true. 0%. So, that is a great question though, real quick, guys, about the whole 2026 AMD high-end card. Because that's something that was rumored to be at CES 2026, which is supposed to be RDNA 5. They're supposed to bring that to life. Because they're bringing the 9000G processor in, allegedly. And it's supposed to have indications of RDNA 5. And that's the whole concept of like when they came out with the 9850X3D and the 9950X3D2. It's supposed to have like pretty much a hybrid of what Zen 6 should be like. So let's hope that AMD does end up coming out with it. But what makes it less probable and what scares me more is the fact that there's just not going to be available VRAM for it. I mean, even NVIDIA doesn't want to deal with it. They said they gave it to their board partners when it comes to their PCBs and their GPU. And they're practically told all their board partners, like, if they want to get VRAM, that practically ASUS or Gigabyte or MSI or any of the manufacturers have to really go get the VRAM themselves and put it in. Micro Center has a 0% interest for 12 months. Buy, hold, or sell. Yes, they certainly do have that. So if anybody is thinking of doing that whole thing, just go into your Micro Center, your local one, and seeing if they have that available, have that kit available. You might end up making out, especially for ECC RAM. That's usually expensive. That's way more expensive than a typical RAM. So if anybody is looking for a kit like that, especially server grade, there, yes. So this RAM cost offset issues will be more visible soon, attempting to clear the R7K and Raptors in overage supply condition. AMD can accommodate that to R9K margin cost offset with the RAM kit. Yeah, that they can. That is true. And the funny thing is, it's like, I'm just, you know what's a new rumor that's come out? And this has me a bit, a bit curious. Apparently they're saying NVIDIA is thinking of doing this option here, where with the new 6000 series, they're already like beyond thinking of the 50 series Super, because everyone was waiting for that, just for the extra G7 RAM that everyone was waiting for, the extra VRAM. But the new rumor that NVIDIA has, this would be pretty crazy. And of course, the price would go up exponentially if this is the case. And what that exactly is that the fact that maybe NVIDIA may, instead of going to G7, which are already having breakthroughs already with it as it is, Samsung already got 24 gigabits going instead of 16 gigabits, which is quite the improvement. That's, again, that's what they're looking for to maximize for each chip in order to get up to that 24 gigabits. So anyway, the point is they're thinking of going with the 6000, the RTX 6000 series, or whatever they would like to call it. Instead of using GDDR7, they're thinking of going HBM. So can you imagine if they go HBM, how expensive that would be? Just imagine how expensive a 6090 would be if that's the case. So on R7K and Intel for Raptors trading CPU margin for yes, that Rams say yes, that is what he's looking for. Unfortunately, Chicago suburb for me is like 2.5. Do they have the kits available by you guys? Just out of curiosity, those in Indianapolis and in Chicago. That's honestly a great deal because they obviously stopped the whole consumer sale when it came to the Micro Center bundles. So this is one kind of like a workaround in a way. So definitely take advantage of that if that's the case, if you can. Because I mean, honestly, if you wanted the RAM itself, and again, it's CL26, the latency, and it's 5600 megahertz. So technically, you can bring it. I mean, you could technically overclock it and everything, but I don't think it'd be worth bringing it to 6,000. The latency is already low enough as it is, and again, it's great for the error correcting. Yes, DDR4 seems to be a way to go for everybody out there. I mean, ASRock has already introduced a motherboard where you can also install DDR4 if you need to. To be honest, I would prefer it because the focus would be mostly on one type of VRAM. Yeah, exactly. That would be the awesome part. So, again, like for anybody that's curious that's just coming in, ASRock is making a motherboard. We discussed this a bit earlier, where you will have compatibility with DDR5 and DDR4 on a AM5 platform. So, of course, you had the option of Intel's Alder Lake or Raptor Lake boards that you can do that with. But now you can do it with a AM5 board. They're working on it. More than likely, other brands are going to go that same route, especially because they're in need of selling motherboards. So I have a CL26. You're lucky, C-Diff. You're very lucky in order to have your hands on something like that. Oh, really? What about, so no Threadrippers? Because that's what you want to look for. A nice Threadripper, because that's going to be the key of getting RAM for free. Because technically, if you buy the kit, you're technically paying only like $600 for 128 gigabytes of RAM, which is a awesome deal, especially today. 128 gigabytes of RAM that sounds a bit more fair compared to spending $900 on 64 gigabytes. I have a lot of RAM kits. I am donating. Oh, awesome. That is very friendly of you, Mr. Rainbow. Just don't ask for anyone's no Threadripper. Damn. This reminds me of the death of the muscle car of the mid 70s. Yes. It's pretty wild, right? Like to see this kind of effect happen. How it's affecting everybody. And the crazy part is we're the first people to see it because we just need the chipsets. So imagine everyone that has to go through the repercussions of who wants to have a handheld or a console. It's going to be costly for everyone in the end. So how much total RAM do you Zay. I don't know yet. It's funny. I got some RAM coming too. It's pretty crazy because I had an order already in with Crucial with 32 gigabytes and it's supposed to be coming in. And unfortunately, with how high the cost is with everything, it's going to have to be the pretty much the kit that's going to every PC build. I'm just going to be like switching it on different kits on and off or different builds. In my local area, I should say about yes. I'm sure people would take the donations. Just join our Discord. Just bought 32 gigabytes of Vengeance yesterday. That's like 427. But how much will it be? Yes. And that's the problem. It's going to get more costly. Even if you wait till after December, it's just like another $200. Easy. If, again, anybody looking for that Threadripper kit, that's like a key of taking advantage of RAM, I gotta say. Definitely one of those gold mines. Like, what's your total RAM stock? Total, it's probably like closer to maybe about 128 gigabytes. No, a lot bigger than that. It's like probably more like 140 something. I would think, because I got 48 gigabytes, I got 64, and no, it's more like, then it's probably like maybe like 192. I'm probably closer to that. I want mine a iPhone 18 Pro with a starting price of, yes, and that's the problem. It's going to cost more for phones. So again, Samsung's having trouble to get RAM themselves. I got to show you this article because it's just funny when you see it. Samsung can't buy their own DRAM. It's so funny. Samsung, how do you say no to yourself? How do you say no to your own foundry says no to your own division? 1690 might be out of my price range, which sucks. Always get the Titan or now known for the 90 series every 2 years. Yes. And the crazy part is it's not even going to be it's going to be under HBM at that point, which would be crazy expensive. I have total 144 of DDR4. For me, it's a mix of DDR4 and DDR5. Man, I am tempted. Now it has me really tempted, to be honest, thinking of doing that move. It would be a very costly move, but it might be worth it. But here it is right here, guys. I got to show you this. So this is what I was talking about. RAM is so expensive, Samsung won't even sell it to Samsung, right? So they have this new trifold phone. I'm sure you guys heard of it, where it's like this new tablet where you can expand it pretty large. So obviously you need to have some decent RAM, especially on a smaller device. And apparently they went to go try to ask for the supply. They went to go search for the memory, see for the newest smartphone for 2026 flagship designs. And they were willing to pay top dollar. So they went to go try to get it from Samsung. That they rejected the original order of DRAM chips from Samsung's Electronics Mobile Experience Division. So they said no. Instead, why would we want to have your phones just sitting at a cell phone store? Why do we need it sitting at a Verizon or a T-Mobile or a Best Buy where it's just going to sit there when we can get immediate profit off of OpenAI? Why do that? Especially that they have the cash up front. It's almost like, you know what it's almost like? I'm sure you guys are familiar with this crisis that originally just happened, just like when we went through that whole real estate issue back in 2020, back in 2020 and 2021. For anyone that was to purchase a home, how you would have to face other people that would have buy a house cash up front versus getting the loan from the bank. Instead, most people that were selling homes would prefer to take the cash up front instead of getting the money from the bank because it's immediate. You don't have to wait. So it's almost kind of like that. So Samsung almost pretty much pulled that move on themselves and said, why would we take your money and wait for the profits when we can get the profit immediately, plus then some? So with all these RAM kits and GPU prices going up high, I think it's best to taking the budget PC gamer builds out of the hands of people who need a new PC. That's a good point. So is it better to stick a 32 gigabyte at 6,000 megahertz or add the original 16 to the 32? So it's better to run dual RAM, and I've ran multiple tests on this to see how the responsive a PC would be, and it always typically runs better on dual than quad. So instead of adding RAM, it's definitely better to run just a dual kit. You actually get better latency because of it. So I think it's also good to look at, say, old HP ProLiant Dell Power Edge old servers on second hands. What's up, Snecker? Good to see you. I haven't seen you in a minute. AI race is happening. It's real. Absolutely. Kind of like the Dillinger business versus income. 318. Oh, okay. That's okay. You know me. We're definitely going to end up going live on this Saturday. I know it's a bit of a late stream, especially today, but hopefully you guys are certainly enjoying it. But I'm happy with my new PC, 9070 XT, but I hate the glitchy soul. You know, it should be better now. It should be much more improved. They actually just came out with a new driver. For anyone that has a AMD Radeon card, Redstone is pretty much almost ready. It's going to be buggy. It's kind of like NVIDIA when they first came out with frame generation. It wasn't the best. In fact, They just had some terrible drivers, like originally when it came out, like for the first 6 months, even. It was pretty ridiculous. I have the 5070 12 gigabyte. Should I upgrade? Yes, Hassan, definitely go 5070 Ti. You would definitely pull up. You would definitely do well. Well, happy birthday, Snacker, coming up. I'm who knows? I might end up doing this stream upcoming on Friday, but we will see. So show and cover, yeah, no problem. So I definitely recommend anybody out there who is thinking of building a PC and is in need of building a PC to take advantage of the options that you certainly do have, because it's just going to go more expensive. Unfortunately, it's not healing any. If you just take a look at the price trends that are currently going on when it comes to RAM, it's just looking uglier and uglier each and every day. It's just not improving, and hopefully it does sometime soon. 50, yes, that's right, Rizzo. 5090 has horrible drivers, worse experience than 30. Yeah, that's the thing. That's what I've been telling everybody. Like, if you're looking for price and performance, the 9070 is actually the way to go. So you'd certainly made the right move going 9070 XT. The RAM prices will recover, to be honest, more likely in 2027, 2028. A lot of people are looking at this lightly, like, oh, this is just going to pass. This isn't going to be anything. This isn't real. But the charts say very differently. I'll show you the charts, in fact. The charts do not lie. So take a look here. For just typical DDR4 3200 megahertz, it's went up again. It's up to $120 on average. And this is for just 16 gigabytes of RAM. Now you look down at, say, just the 32 gigabytes. Now it's also went up here. So it went up to nearly about, I would say roughly about $190. So that's certainly up. Well, you do, if I get my hands on a AMD card, I certainly will. I will soon. I'm working on it now, actually, trying to get some in. So it's not, yeah, bro, the RAM prices are insane. I just purchased. Yeah, I know, isn't it? So if anybody has some RAM laying around, that's certainly. Thank you for subscribing, Matthew. So I certainly got to say, it's just constantly going up. Like, there's no type of stagnation. Even here you go, like. You see a little dip there, but that's nothing. DDR4 3200, again, slight dip. That's not really changing much at all. You go down to the RAM that mostly everybody needs for a new build. Again, right here, DDR5 6000. It's been holding about 800. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Rizzo. Appreciate it. Yes. Yes. Thank you, Rizzo. Certainly appreciate it. Samsung is going to put the memory, then have it in the product and highest profit margin. This is, yes, this is certainly the better way of, it's like investing in gold, but much more volatile and much more quicker when it comes to response. So, yes. So what about sim racing? Are you looking to get more frames, better graphics, or you're trying to get, what type of simulator are you thinking of? I would love to know. Because you can go quite advanced in it. So this is what the pricing is looking on DDR5. And for SSDs, let's take a look at that. Right here, you can take a look at storage. Again, it's going to seem very incremental because this is 2.5 SATA drives. Not a lot of people certainly get those, so you're going to see very small increments. But look at this M.2, $256, just insane. It's $50 now compared to what it was back in September, where you could get it for as low as like $35. Like, I didn't even know they still had 256. So wait, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, the storage is what's going to end up sneaking up on a lot of people. So make sure to have some. So 1 terabyte right here. 1 terabyte M.2. It's gone up to, okay, so originally you could get it for like about $100, but it's actually close to about $130. So it's already went up like about $30. So from $100, that's 30% right there. And same thing with 2 terabytes. And as you saw, like Micro Center stayed true to that 230, just like we sold that SSD with that whole custom Threadripper build that we put together. I'm thinking about upgrading from G29 to a Fantech as a gift for myself. I have the G29 for 6 years. Yeah, be awesome. Definitely gift yourself. That would be great. It's just unbelievable, right? M.2 4 terabytes. Again, this is going to end up looking like RAM. This is just like the start of it. Because again, NAND, when it comes to DRAM, when it comes to HBMs, when it comes to VRAM, they all practically come from the same place for the most part. So it's just going to cause it to go up eventually. And it's one of those things where it's going to be inevitable. So just snagged a Western Digital SN5000, great choice. That's actually one of those undervalued SSDs for $68. Not the greatest SSD, but yeah, it's something to have. Especially for gaming, you don't really notice that much of a difference. Even when I tested it up against a PCI Express 5, I tried a Gigabyte 10,000, not mega transfers. Now I'm thinking of RAM. That's slipping my mind, but the Gigabyte 10,000 it's called. I tried that up against the Western Digital 5000, actually SM5000. Actually, like when you game on it, it's not going to be that much of a difference because nothing really takes advantage of direct storage. So I don't think GPUs will get crazy on pricing. I see that data centers are going more on CPU. See, that's where everyone's going to. That's the thing. It's one of those hidden things about GPUs. Most people are thinking that the GPUs are not going to be that bad. The reason why they have jumped as drastically is because the shortage just hasn't quite happened on GPUs. They actually have to sell more. If they sell more GPUs, it's going to go up because there's going to be less available. And in order to build GPUs, you need to also have VRAM. So the exact reason why everything is going up is because you have a lot of the foundries such as Samsung, SK Hynix. Now you have Micron where they shut their doors on the consumers. And now all three of them are practically focused on making HBMs, which is going to be more focused on for what AI needs. Now they're still going to have DRAM, but they're not going to produce it nearly as fast because they don't have no need to. They obviously need to have more foundries, but unfortunately OpenAI has bought up so much HBMs that they ended up slowing down the foundries so much that they're unable to produce or keep up for their demands. They bought up a decent supply of them, so they have to try to produce as much as they can for OpenAI. And that's what's causing the shortage. And these are all the same factories. They all produce on the same wafer, which is going to be, again, HBMs, DRAM. It's going to be VRAM, NAND. It's going to be pretty much all on that. So I feel bad because I sent my brother a link to the 4 terabyte one that was like 160. I don't know if it was the right speed, if it was fast enough for PS5. I guess if it doesn't work, I assume it would be okay for the most part. I think you'll end up doing pretty well for sure, a waffle. But less people will buy new GPUs if they can't get RAM. So hopefully they made enough GPUs. So I have critical, I think you mean crucial. I have Crucial's 1 terabyte M.2. Should I worry about it or should I get a new one because of the closure? I wouldn't worry about it. Obviously, it's good to always back up your drives. So if you are going to use it as your primary drive, just make sure to just keep it backed up. It's still going to work fine. You're not going to have issues. I've dealt with some sketchy M.2s before, and they still actually work fine. I've really run into not really much issues into them, but I can say the only SSD I really ran into an issue, believe it or not, is Sabrent's, and that was back on Gen 4 with the Rocket 4. One day, it was actually on the Threadripper build, in fact. I was using it on the M.2 drive. One day, it just blue screened, went to turn it back on. Everything was gone. All the data was gone. It was messed up. So, but luckily they were good enough and kind enough to send me a brand new M.2 because of this issue. But Skynet, here we come. NVIDIA since Q1 2001 is selling 4.7 million DC accelerators a year. And there is no DRAM shortage, just a couple of paper contracts that have changed nothing from 90 days ago in terms of DDR. Let's hope so. If that would be the best case scenario if that's the case. But again, from that would be a great question. I wish you would have brought that up to Jensen Huang too. Again, like if anybody hasn't heard that podcast, definitely check into it. The whole Jensen Huang and the Joe Rogan podcast. It was really good. Actually, I think January, February, if building PC drops by 50, yes, it would be nice. And everybody in the chat can definitely tell you that when we went to take a look at this, let's take a look at Micro Center, see if I still got it in the cart here. Let's take a look. Let's see if it's still there. Oh, yeah. It's still holding, guys. Look. So we saw this. Again, for this build, right? Let me flip it there so you guys can see everything. So that's still expensive. But look at the RAM, 128 gigabytes, still in the cart there, 681. And they say they got 2 new in stock. And this is ECC right here. CL28 at 5600 megahertz. And then the Ryzen Threadripper and a board. Honestly, not a bad deal. So, a question for anybody out there who's done something like that. I think they answered this question before when it came to Micro Center. Now, if you were to buy this kit, right? And say you went to go return the motherboard, they would have to take everything back. Isn't that correct? They won't take the refund. Flip it. Yeah, you can buy that. Yeah, look. Yeah, that's true, Waffle Skater. All right, Snacker. Seems like they're pushing own nothing and be happy. It seems like it. Like we're going to be gaming on the cloud next thing we know. So glad I decided to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was such a great deal, right? Yes, that's what I thought. I certainly thought that. They got 2 of each in stock. They got plenty of these 2 terabyte drives. But FanBam, guys, I thank you everybody who's joined in. I certainly appreciate everyone who's joined the live. If you haven't already, make sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe or follow. Certainly do appreciate everybody out there. Make sure to tune in on the next live. Usually I'll do it on Saturday. I think this week we'll do it at 10 a.m. and see how it goes from there. If there's any other lives, make sure to tune in onto the Discord. It's free. Thank you for following King Helios. And just make sure to join in on the Discord. And also make sure to, I'll keep you guys updated if I do anything. What's up, King Helios? Thank you for joining in. Unfortunately, I just ended the stream too. I definitely appreciate you joining in though. But we're going to go back live on Saturday at 10 a.m. I thank you all. And it was certainly fun. And I will this is screaming at me too, this setup. My luck. Don't worry. We'll certainly come back. Yes, everybody have a great evening. Thank you, Rizzo. Thank you. Yes, I gotta. Yes, thank you, Darren. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate you all. Much love to everybody out there. And everybody have a wonderful night.